Okay, so we hear about workplace disputes all the time, right? But what happens when an issue can't just be sorted out with a quick chat? Well, there's a formal, structured journey it has to take. In this explainer, we're going to map out that exact process step by step so you can see how a simple disagreement transforms into a formal resolution.
First up, let's tackle a really crucial question. What's the actual difference between just having a complaint at work and filing a formal grievance? I mean, they might sound the same, but in a unionized workplace, that distinction is absolutely everything. It's the key to this entire process we're about to break down.
So, here's our roadmap for today. We'll start by defining what a grievance really is. Then we'll follow its journey, from getting it on the record to climbing the ladder, all the way to the final decision. We'll even look at some interesting plot twists and exceptions, before asking the big question, why does this whole thing matter so much?
All right, first things first. Before you can even start this journey, we need to know what officially counts as a grievance. It's not just any problem or annoyance. It's a very specific kind of dispute that's been taken to a formal, documented level.
And here it is, the official definition. A grievance isn't just a complaint about something you don't like. It is a formal dispute that has to be directly tied to the collective bargaining agreement. That's the big contract between the union and the company. The whole issue has to be about how that contract, that rule book, is being interpreted or used. It's all about making sure everyone plays by the rules they've already agreed on.
The journey of a grievance follows this very clear four-step path. It always starts by putting the issue down in writing. From there, it moves up through meetings between the union and management, and if all else fails, it ends with a final, binding decision from a totally neutral third party.
Okay, this is where the process officially kicks off. Step 1 is all about getting the dispute on the record. And as you're about to see, from the very second this thing starts, there is a clock ticking.
Now this is where it gets interesting. The timing is incredibly strict and fast. From the moment the incident happens, a 7-day clock starts. That's how long the employee and their union rep have to file the grievance in writing. This stops things from being brought up months or even years later. And once it's submitted, bam! Another 7-day clock starts for management to give their written response. See, everything is documented and every step is timed to keep things moving.
And this little quote right here shows just how serious those deadlines are. If that grievance isn't filed within those first 7 days, the contract is crystal clear. The matter is considered closed, done. The case is over before it even really got started. That's why this first step is so absolutely critical.
So, what if that first written response doesn't solve the problem? Well, the journey is far from over. Now the grievance starts climbing the ladder through steps 2 and 3, which are all about direct meetings and, you guessed it, escalation. This slide shows that escalation perfectly. We're moving from paper to people. In step 2, you've got the local union rep and local management meeting face-to-face, trying to hash it out. But if they can't reach an agreement, the issue gets bumped up the chain. And as you can see, step 3 brings in the heavy hitters, people from the international union and corporate-level company reps. The stakes get higher, and so do the job titles of the people in the room.
And just like in step 1, that clock is still ticking away. This table lays out the next set of deadlines. After the step 2 meeting, there are just 7 working days to find a resolution. If that doesn't happen, a step 3 meeting has to be held within 30 days. And after that meeting, the union gets 1 month to decide if they're going to take the final step, appealing to arbitration.
This is it, the end of the line. If steps 1, 2, and 3 have all failed to produce a solution that both sides can live with, the grievance moves to its final and most serious stage, binding arbitration. So who is this final decision maker? Well, an arbitrator is a neutral third party, kind of like a judge. They're often picked from the Federal Mediation and Conciliation Service. They hear both sides, they look at all the evidence, and their ruling is final and legally binding. For everyone, there are no more appeals after this point.
But, and this is a really big but, an arbitrator doesn't have unlimited power, not even close. Their authority is strictly limited by the contract itself. As you can see here, they have zero power to add new stuff, take stuff away, or change the collective agreement in any way. They can't just make up new rules or obligations for either side.
So the most important point here is this. The arbitrator is a referee, not a lawmaker. Their entire job is to interpret the rules that are already written in the rulebook, which, again, is the collective agreement. They just apply the existing contract to the facts of the case and make the final call.
Now, like any good journey, this one has a few plot twists and special routes. Not every single grievance follows the exact same path from step 1 all the way to step 4. Let's look at a couple of really important exceptions.
For the most serious cases, like when an employee is actually fired, the whole process gets an express lane. The grievance skips the first 2 steps entirely and goes directly to step 3. This gets the high-level reps involved right from the start and makes sure these urgent issues get addressed as quickly as possible.
Now, this one is really fascinating. Think of it like a reset button for fairness. If the International Union's own internal review finds that a grievance was messed up or handled improperly by a union rep, they actually have the power to tell the company they're reinstating it to give it a proper, fair hearing.
But there's a really important financial detail attached to that reset button. The company is not on the hook for any back pay for the time that passed between the original improper decision and the new reinstatement. It's a clause that protects both the employee's right to be represented fairly and the company from, well, an unfair financial hit.
So, after mapping this whole journey, with its strict timelines, its escalating steps, its final decisions, we have to step back and ask, why? Why does having such a rigid step-by-step process matter so much?
This quote from the agreement itself really just says it all. The goal isn't just to solve problems, it's to do it in a way that is stable, effective, and dependable. It's all about creating a system that makes sure resolutions are prompt, fair, and final so that everyone, both employees and management, can actually trust the process.
And that leaves us with one last thought to chew on. This whole structure is designed to take what could be a really chaotic, emotional dispute and guide it down a predictable, transparent path. So how does having that clear, structured journey toward a fair outcome ultimately impact the level of trust and stability inside a workplace?